All right, let's dive into this recap. And if a little heads up, if you guys have not watched our previous recap, just head over to youtube.com, click Dekmar Trades, and you guys will be taken to all of our lessons, of course. So you go to Dekmar Trades right here. This was yesterday's recap when I was able to make $800. We have all our videos. We always post our recaps, of course, so you guys are all set, ready to rock and roll right there. Also, as you guys know, you guys do have access to Tradecaster's full video library. We have over, as you guys know, 250 lessons in here. All you guys got to do, search by username, go ahead, type in Dekmar Trades, and of course, you guys will have all of our beautiful lessons that come on through. We have over 200-hour lessons. The best thing to probably do, start watching the boot camp lessons. You know, we did the boot camp a couple months ago, and you guys can just work your way through the boot camp, and that's going to teach you start to finish on a lot of my strategy. We do have many specific lessons. You know, what is float? You know, creating a trading plan, stock tips everyone should know, dip buying introduction, my strategy part 1, what's a hold, all that good stuff. So make sure you guys get in here so you guys are constantly learning and constantly, you know, improving your education. Let's go over today. You know, let's talk about what we have seen today. Today, I am in the red. You know, got to tell you guys, of course, I am in the red today, but I shouldn't be. I was correct with my trade. It's just, again, I got caught up in a little bit of bad luck, but hey, you can't blame it on that. You boys got to be honest. I did take a loss today. And now with that being said, how did I take a loss today? What happened? I took a loss on MTP. MTP, this was a stock that obviously, now why did this go on a $1.09 rip, or how did the stock run so big? You guys can see over the past few days, MTP, you know, has currently up 567% over the past 5 days, because this picks up the past 5 days percentage right here. And it's, you know, really counting from, you know, that 12-cent rip all the way up to 109 to where it's currently at 85 cents. So a massive run, a massive rip. It's currently up 65% at the moment. And where did I get it? You know, what happened on this play? Well, I swung the stock last night. And, you know, I swung the stock last night because this stock went from 13 cents, hit 82 cents, came back down towards around this 50-cent mark. And then what happened? I got in on this play in after hours last night as the stock started climbing. So I got in right at the 68-cent mark. And what I would liked, of course, was a gap up towards around 85 cents. Maybe a pre-market run to $1. Maybe, you know, spike up to 115, 120 when the market opened. That's what I was, of course, hoping for. But that's not always what happens, of course. Now, in this case, I woke up this morning and I saw it opened up, you know, right at my price. Let me put on pre-market again. It opened up right around the 70-cent mark. So I was like, hey, okay, you know, I'm up 2 cents. But then we did start seeing a little bit of a sell-off. The stock dropped all the way down to 46 cents, all the way down to 41 cents. But really, once the stock started going down towards 64, 63 cents, I'm just saying, I got to be smart. I got to, you know, lock it out. If the stock starts coming back on up, I can always look for a re-entry. The last thing I ever want to do is sell the stock when it's at 43 cents, or the last thing I ever want to do is hold on to my play, and then the stock just goes down to 43 cents, and me say, okay, it'll come back up. It'll come back up 33 cents. It'll come 25 cents. Any day now, 18 cents. Oh my God, it's not coming up to 1 cent. Ah! Right? So you guys don't ever want to be that person. That person who's just saying, it'll come back up. It has to, right? It'll do it, right? Anyone else having fun? Right? So you don't ever want to be in that area. That you have to be able to say to yourself, you know, if things aren't working out, cut out, move on. Took about a $950 loss today on MTP. And as you could see a little bit later, MTP actually ran all the way up to 110. It went on a beautiful run. It went on a beautiful rip. So I'm happy on the fact that this stock did do what I ultimately wanted. It did get a nice big pop. It did get a nice big green day. It's a 62% gain, but I did wake up early. And unfortunately, again, waking up early kind of hurt me this time because I did get emotional on the fact that, you know, I got to cut my losses out. If maybe I slept in and I woke up and I saw it was at, you know, 70 cents and on a nice pop, didn't really have to worry about it. But you know, I did cut out for a loss right there. So as you can see right here, MTP did go on that beautiful rip, that beautiful climb. It shot all the way up towards that 110 mark, and was an absolute beautiful climb where a ton of you guys were able to make some big time profits, and a ton of you guys were able to make that big time money. And that's what, you know, really fires me up. That's what really gets me super excited. It's just the amount of people, you know, making that big time bank. I always love showing you guys off, of course, the everyone, and giving you guys shout outs. And this is just the top right in the morning. Gary, right at 9:31. We got $300, $200, 117, 205, 301. Beautiful 23-cent rip, $230. A quick big time profit right here, $130 right here. This is a quick 72, and the list goes on and on and on. I just can't screenshot everyone, but again, awesome work. And then MTP, let's go over why the stock ran. Why did the stock rip? Why did the stock take on off? And this was simply enough because of this press release. Now, this press release is a little iffy. It's a little bit weird. It's a little bit odd. It came out with, let me get to the right one, MTP right here, a 6K. Now, what is a 6K? The simplest way, if you guys don't know what a 6K is, so many people ask me this stuff. So many people say, hey, Dek, what is a 6K? I'm so lost. What's a Form 6K? And a lot of times I'll be more than happy to help you guys out. But if I'm not around and it's nighttime or something like that, there's a magic thing we got. It's the power of Google, baby. And what do you got to do? You just got to go to this thing we call a search bar and type in what is a 6K? All right. And what are you going to get right here? Form 6K is an SEC filing submitted to the U.S. Stock Exchange Commission by certain foreign private issuers to provide information that is required to be made public in the country of its domicile. So filed and made public by a foreign stock exchange on which its securities are traded. So what we have right here is we basically just have we have an agreement, but we have an investment. We have a strategic investment by this company of 207 million shares. And you're like, whoa, that is a ton of shares, right? We have 207 million shares. And you see, okay, what's the price? At $3.85. It doesn't say per share, though. It says pence per share. And again, that changes the price of $3.85. This pence is a lot different. So whenever you see that word pence, it changes the whole entire price. So with that being said, guys, what is the actual price of this? The actual price of a pence is actually all the way down to 50 cents. So they bought 207 million shares, but at the price of 50 cents. Now that makes a lot more sense rather than $3.80 or whatever that was. So MTP still had a lot of hype. It still had a lot of activity, and that's why we saw this beautiful run and this beautiful rip. Whenever we see another company investing into a company, especially big shares, that's usually when we see some giant rips and runs. If it's MTP, we obviously see some giant rips and giant runs. Or for instance, if it's VTVT, guess this biggest spike. This thing went from 75 cents all the way up to $6. 75 cents to $6. That means, MTP right now still has about another $5 to run if it followed VTVT's pattern. And that was because Forbes, we all know Forbes, that magazine talking about the rich and famous and the great life. Forbes invested into VTVT, and that's where that stock went on a beautiful rip. So MTP could possibly be doing the same exact setup and could be, getting a rip and run coming up in the near future. When do I think that rip and run could possibly happen? I think that rip and run could possibly happen right around 11 o'clock. I think there's, good potential right around 11 o'clock for that stock to start moving, for that stock to start getting a little bit of hype, and for that stock to start getting a little bit of momentum. I think, a nice little 15-minute area of consolidation. It's 10:45 right now. We could start seeing maybe an 11 o'clock breakout in the near future, if it can hold, of course. If it starts dumping, obviously, that's going to be some trouble. But that play, I wanted to go over, of course, why it started ripping. It really started ripping because of an investment. Whenever a big company or when a big billionaire invests a large amount of shares into a play, get some big time rips, get some big time runs. MTP is a perfect example right here. We also have VTVT, a perfect example. The first one I ever saw was VLTC. I don't even know. I believe this was, and I think this was when I was, a sophomore in college. I think this was one of the first ones. VLTC. Yep, Carl Icahn. When was this? 2015. Carl Icahn, he's a billionaire, and he invested in VLTC. I believe he bought like 1 million shares at the price of like $2, and the stock ran all the way up to $22 because he invested into it. So how wild is that? These investments sometimes lead to beautiful climbs, beautiful rips, and go on some beautiful runs. So investments, these investments are definitely could go on some monstrous plays. What else have we seen today? Well, we do have ACET trying to get a little bit of activity as well. ACET trying to get a little bit of hype. That's more of just like a bounce play. That was more of just like a bounce play bouncing off these bottoms. So that was getting a little bit, not really too much going on with ACET. We could see no press release. Or actually, excuse me, February 27th. I apologize. There was actually insider buying. The senior vice president bought 47,000 shares at the price of 21 cents. Now you may say 47,000 shares, that's a ton. Well, again, at the price of 21 cents, that's not really that much at all, honestly. So it's not like he's investing millions of dollars. What you always want to do is, if it's over, let's say $100,000, or let's say over $500,000, over $1 million that someone's investing, obviously that's a lot of money. But if 47,000 shares, maybe if the stock was 20 bucks, or if the stock was 50 bucks, obviously that's a ton of money that person's investing. But 47,000 shares on a 20-cent stock, it's like a couple grand max. Right, so it's not really anything, honestly, too crazy when you actually think about it. So I do want you guys to, of course, understand that. What else on ACET that we like? It's basically just been more of this bounce play right here. A nice little bounce play on this play, and a little bit of a dead cat bounce as the stock's trying to move on up. A little side note, MTP trying to get a little bit of action right here, trying to warm its way back on up towards the upside at the moment. So again, we'll keep that on watch for the next 10 minutes to see if that play is going to be able to get any sort of ripping or running. We also had ZSAN go on a quick pop. ZSAN went on a little bit of a quick pop at this time, just because it does have a little bit of a bull flag pattern set up. So we do have a little bit of a bull flag pattern set up, and that's trying to get a little activity. We also looked at GEVO, which came out with a nice news today, but it did spike all the way up to its 200-day moving average in pre-market, which basically just killed it all the way back on down. So, this stock did have a nice rip and a nice spike in pre-market today. Let me just go to the 5-minute or 3-minute time frame, and we can see this thing, ripped on up, came right to that 200-day moving average, but that's where it also dumped right back on down. So, that hasn't been able to bring in a lot of hype. It's really just been the MTP party today. It's just everyone's been focusing on MTP. Everyone's been looking at the stock. This is where everyone, has really just been, trading lately, and everyone's looking for that possible $1 breakout to happen, maybe later on in the future today. So we'll see if it can happen. I'm excited for it. I am in the red. Hopefully I can make that back. Other than that, as you guys know, I've been holding on to my TVIX trade the past few days. I didn't cut out yet. I was going to cut right at this area. It might just cut out actually right now and take about my $530 gain on TVIX, since I've been holding that for the last 2 days, and that's just because the SPY. So, the SPY has been hitting that 280 mark right when that loads up. Hits that 280 mark, and now that's starting to come on down. So I'm probably going to exit out that trade right here. $510 on TVIX. So not too bad. Not too bad over there. So it's still slightly in the red because, again, I had a $957 loss on MTP. But then, covering it right there, definitely minimizing my losses, staying smart, and, looking for that next big rip and that next big run. So we'll see what's going to be coming up, of course. Awesome job so far today. Could not be any more happy for everyone who made the big time profits over on MTP. And hopefully we'll get that $1 break coming up in the near future. Awesome job, team. Awesome work.